entirely unambitious.
Do you think Sylvanas is going to have sex with Anduin?
We're just gonna go in and Chains of Domination. Oh wait.
Chains of Domination?
Welcome back to the Warcraft news, everyone. Alright, so, lots of stuff has been going on.
Glad
of course,
to be
the
here.
9.1 PTR dropping, but actually, there's also a brand new system that is in the game right now, as of this week's hotfixes. Then, of course, for 9.1 stuff, well, we do have some major systems changes to cover. So, Torghast, there's big things in the works there. There's also a little bit in gearing, some Mythic Plus, big new system there and its implications. And then PvP gear is going to be PvP gear. They're actually resurrecting a Warlords of Draenor system, and it's
we'll talk. You know what? It's 38 seconds in the video. I'll keep going.
something that some of the PvE players might actually like too.
Fine.
And also flying, because I know you all want to know how that will happen.
I do.
While NordVPN.com/BellulurGaming, today's sponsor, cannot literally fly you across the world, it is a VPN, so you can use the internet like you're somewhere else. Of course, you can use the promo code BellulurGaming, where you'll be able to get a 2-year plan with a huge discount plus an extra month free. Now, why get a VPN? Simple enough. Do you want to watch content from another region, right? Do you want to access Japanese Netflix? You can do that with Nord.
Boy.
I've also got the likes of Nord Locker, which is 500 gigs of secure storage for only £1.10 a month, and then also NordPass for your passwords. You get all that in the app and browser extension that are super easy to use. As I said, huge discount.
Absolutely incredible.
NordVPN.com/BellulurGaming
Absolutely
with that
incredible.
promo code. All right, Nord, thanks for sponsoring. With that said, let's go. Blizzard have expanded the Anima System in World of Warcraft, and it's actually active right now. So this is a new system on top of the existing one that eventually will significantly increase your Anima gains, and it was hotfixed into World of Warcraft earlier this week.
I think that, as I said, the Anima changes were good. I'm happy about the Anima changes, and it does make the game better. I really do believe that. I understand some people might disagree or whatever, but I think that it is absolutely an improvement.
And I think to a mixed response.
The reason why it's mixed response is because people don't want to fucking do it anyway. Like, it was an improvement, but it's not a solution.
So, look, many players have been complaining about Anima gains, right? Lots of the casual people realizing that, you know, I mean, the cosmetics really add up. I think in many cases it's because clearing the map of world quests every day for Anima is tiring. And
it will probably take you 3 hours. I would assume if you wanted to clear every world quest and maybe also do the Maw, it would take you 3 to 4 hours of gameplay every single day. Okay, guys, like, it's going to take a long time. Like, if somebody can complete all of those world quests in an hour, I will give you $1,000. Post a video on YouTube, I will give you $1,000 if you can complete every single one of those world quests in an hour. Not 1 hour and 55 minutes, but 1 hour. Because you can't do it.
And that is the main way to get lots and lots and lots of
Go
Anima.
ahead.
And then the thing there is Anima is required for nearly all of the cosmetics in the Shadowlands expansion and the Sanctum upgrades. And those upgrades get really expensive. And it kind of means that all of that progression boils down to this same activity. Grinding Anima.
Yep.
So, what's Blizzard's fix then? Well,
give you more
Anima is just a tuning problem, is their fix simply just to buff Anima gains, or to change up the rewards?
I think that, honestly, it is literally that simple. You just need to buff the Anima. Buff the Anima, everybody's happy. That's all I think you need to do. Like, literally double or triple the Anima gains, and things will be better. They will be absolutely better. It will be fine. There won't be any other trouble. It's my opinion.
No, the answer is the Blizzard's fix has been to add a new dimension to the Anima system. And the way it works is actually simple enough.
I don't know why they did this. I really don't know why they did this, because it's complicated. Why not just have a baseline Anima multiplier the same way you had for artifact power in Legion? Why do we need to have another throttling system that exists in the game? You have a throttling system to throttle the throttling system. Oh my god. Like, just let people play the fucking game. Like, keep it simple. More systems. This is what they're doing. This is why patch 9.1's taking so fucking long, is because they're sitting there like, oh, well, okay, so we have there's the Anima system, and then the Covenant system, and the Soulbind system, and it's like fucking 8 different scales. They've all got to weigh independently and figure out which one's the heaviest, and they spend all their time balancing these scales. And by the way, they're never actually balanced in the first place, but there's just a slight change in the balance, and they're not focusing on making new content. Like, you gotta think about this. All of this post and this whole mindset, everything that Blizzard did, this took them probably hours to figure out. That is hours that they're not spending making a better raid. That's hours that they're not spending making a second new dungeon. Hours that they're not spending making a cool new mount for me to ride. And that they're focusing on these stupid little fucking systems. And this is the main problem that I have with Shadowlands. I said this at the very beginning. I said, you cannot make the fucking game and then spend the entire time rebalancing Covenant traits, rebalancing soulbinds, rebalancing conduits, spending all your time thinking about that rather than just making the fucking game.
So you get additional anima items,
yes,
based on your Covenant Sanctum upgrade progress.
Oh, good.
So getting all 4 of your Covenant buildings to rank 1, that will get you an extra anima item each time you, say, do something that gives you anima. Like,
you should get a fucking toilet once you get your anima conductor to level 3, and you can just put your anima in the toilet and literally flush it down the drain. Like, just you put it in there and you flush that, and you see the little red thing, it goes, that's what they should do. It's actually a good idea.
Like a world quest. So
it's like
instead of getting 4 items at 35 anima each, you get 5 items at 35 anima each. Then if you get all of your buildings to tier 2, you'll
watch,
get
he's not going to do it. He's going to mess
2
it up.
anima items, and if you get all your buildings to tier 3, you'll get 3 extra anima items. And that would mean that your bog standard world quest would give you 245 anima, which is, what, almost double what you get now. Quite a bit, really.
It's good.
Now, it's something that only applies to the green and blue anima items, not the epic ones, right? So
I'm going to be honest, like, watching that game and watching Flappy Bird, I literally get carpal tunnel just by watching it. I don't know why. No, I'm better than he is. But, like, guys, yeah, don't pog for him. Like, I'm way better than he is, okay, guys? Prove it? I did. I have both the achievements. I got them both on stream, dude. Because you failed 15 times? Oh, yeah. I forgot YouTubers always do it right the first time because they don't cut out all the times they fuck up. Trust me, you guys have no idea how many times I cut out, like, how to do max DPS on a boss. And at the beginning, I pulled aggro on the boss and died. And I'm like, oh, cut the recording. All right, guys, can we wipe it? I DC'd. Yeah, listen, that's the way you make YouTube videos, okay, guys?
That's what's up there. I'd say that directionally, I think it's a good move. People obviously want to get more anima from the content that they're doing.
You can wipe
I think
all
a lot
week.
feel like that system is not particularly well balanced feeling. So that is a good thing. However, there are some odd quirks to this system. So people who put their anima into cosmetics instead of their sanctum are going to feel punished because they will have effectively spent their anima in the wrong order.
Blizzard hates cosmetics. I'm saying it, but you're thinking it. They hate
so
them.
that's not going to feel great. And those who would rather earn cosmetics, they might not feel great about this because it very much does prioritize, or incentivize you to prioritize the sanctum building upgrades instead of the cosmetic rewards. Plus, it's based on getting all of your sanctum buildings upgraded to a certain tier. Now, I don't know about you, but I've got a rank 1 mission table right now, and I don't really care for the idea of grinding up 15,000 anima to get that table up to rank 3.
I have a pretty good mission table because I do the stuff with, like, the mounts and everything. And I sent my followers out on the mount mission. And you know what they did? They died. It wasn't even close. They got absolutely fucking destroyed. Venthyr troops and companions suck? Yeah, they do.
Just to increase World Quest anima gains. That really does not seem worth it or like something I would want to do. especially when that anima could go towards some of the things that I would care about more, such as the Covenant Transmog.
Yes.
Now, the other issue then is that this is Blizzard fixing a problem via slapping on a band-aid system. I think this is a design philosophy that does lead to World of Warcraft being needlessly complex, and I think it is something that makes it harder for Blizzard to neatly develop the game and keep it fed with content. So, more anima, sure thing. It really does seem that the initial anima balancing was a little bit off, but I kind of just wish it was a bit more elegant, you know, a bit more simple.
A bit more simple. Like, just make it to where everybody gets the anima buff together. Like, it's not complicated. I don't understand, like, leveling up your Covenant Sanctum. I can understand why that would matter to an extent, but it should just apply to all anima gains and not some anima gains. That's the way I feel about it. I need to take a piss. I'll be right back, guys. Sorry. We back, though. Wash hands? I don't wash my hands, man. I got a clean dick.
So that's that for the system. It is in-game right now, so if you log in the first time this week, you will see these, like, anima achievements.
Yeah, I got one of these the other day.
Now, on the topic of anima, 9.1's new 40 renown level long track does actually contain 2 World Quest anima upgrades, and I imagine those will add further anima items, like, to the content that you do. So, in the near future, World Quest will be worth a lot of anima, which does actually bring up a bit of an issue for me where, you know, it's that thing where so many of us are trained not to play the game right now because Blizzard's catch-up, even for the optional things, will inevitably come in and make the thing just feel...
Training people to not play the game. That's actually such a good way to say it. Yeah, this is what they do, right? Is they're like, hey, you don't want to... You don't want to play the game now, you want to wait. It's like basically, yeah, they're training you to not play the game. Like, it's the same as like what I say. Dude, you know what was so cool is in classic WoW, people would be like, oh, should I get into the game now? I'm like, yeah, man, you want to get into the game now? You can get some AQ gear. Nax is coming out. You're going to be ready for Nax, or you want to get some BWL gear. That way, whenever AQ comes out, you're going to be ready to go right into AQ 40. And like, there's a reason to play the game now. Not, well, I think that maybe in 8 months they might have a new raid and then you can do LFR and, oh, you replace all your mythic gear. Give me a fucking break. They gotta do better.
So much faster. I mean, that's why I've not really bothered with anima, even though I really want those cosmetics.
Yeah.
It's like I've kind of known that this is obviously an issue and the Blizzard are probably going to make it way better by, you know, 9.1 or 9.2. So in my head, I just kind of thought, I'll do anima later. I'll do the rating now.
I'll do it later.
So that's something. They kind of incentivize us to not play the game because we're so used to a few months down the line.
And I think they've conditioned players so much into, like, whenever Blizzard adds a system into the game, and you're like, well, this sucks. I can't wait for him to fix it in 8 months. It's like, you know, with the changes that were fucking suggested for the system on the first day that it got put on the alpha. They're like, yeah, oh, wow, Azerite gear should be buyable at a vendor? That's a good idea. You know what? After some careful consideration, we have agreed that actually the change that was suggested the first day that Azerite gear was announced is actually a good change. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Line, a whole raft of fixes coming. I mean, it happened in 9.0, and obviously it happened in patch 8.3 to a pretty major degree as well. Okay, that's anima. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Next up, something that we've already touched on and a new dimension to it. Mythic Plus scoring. So it is coming, and Blizzard are working with the team behind Raider.io to make it happen. So it will be officially supported in-game thing in the Blizzard UI. And it certainly is nice to see Blizzard working with the community in that one, but of course, this is going to be a controversial thing.
It is.
Many people are not particular fans of the focus that Raider.io has put into the game. I think similar to people not liking gear score whenever it really took over during the sort of latter period.
As I said, I never knew somebody who hated gear score who could get into an ICC 25-man heroic raid. The people that hate it are the people that suck. They don't want to put in any effort. They want other people to put in the effort and invite them even though they're lower level.
Of Wrath of the Lich King. I can say this. Here's a poll that I did in Twitter. 2,900-ish responses. 30.3% were for, 26.9% were against, and 42.8%
literally never do Mythic Plus, so they don't care. Like, and I'm surprised it's not more. To be honest with you, I'm surprised it's not more. It should be more. It should be, I'm neutral on this, should be like 85%.
Were neutral. So most people didn't really care that much. They're a bit more in the middle. Plenty of people are for, plenty of people are against. So quite divided. Now, we don't know what Blizzard's system is going to look like in terms of the specifics, but I do imagine it'll be close enough to the Raider.io add-on. So that's what's going on, right? This is something that is going to be happening. Could we get more good from Blizzard doing it themselves than with the Raider.io add-on being the norm? I mean, number one, for community confusion, yes. A lot of people who won't understand what a Raider.io score, would be very confused, right? So there is that. But
I do think it's really important to have these systems built into the game. Having as many of these like kind of secondary systems and stuff like that actually put into the game, the goal should be like to an extent, right? Obviously not to like every extent, but to an extent, the goal should be to make it where you don't need add-ons to play the game, because the things that the add-ons do are added into the game. The same as how they had threat added into the game, so you don't need an add-on. I think they should probably do like an in-game, maybe an in-game damage meter or something like that. But the general goal, maybe not. Like, I'm just saying, like, in general, the general goal should be to take the add-ons that add ease of access and quality of life features into the game and convert those add-ons into base features. Massive UI rework as well. Yeah, I would say they probably should change the UI. The UI is extremely dated, and everybody uses a different UI almost, unless they're playing Classic, and then some people use the old one. But I think half the reason for that is probably just nostalgia.
Also, I think there is a way Blizzard could make good on this. So if this is in the game, then this is something that Blizzard could actually build around. A little bit like how in PvP content, you can increase your PvP rating, and doing so will unlock cool rewards like the elite sets, and mounts and titles and things. A little bit more than just having, say, like the Keystone Master achievement. So I've got to wonder then, what could Blizzard actually build and put into the game if there is a Mythic Plus rating that players have that represent their seasonal progress and their skill level?
What could they do? What could they possibly do? What could this company do that's never been done before? How about this? How about you could have a thing that takes the average amount of people playing the game, the entire amount of people, and then based off of like the top, let's say like 50% of people, or maybe just a certain Raider.io score, since maybe the top percentage might not work anymore. Maybe like the people that have a Raider.io score of, let's say, like 1,800, they get a certain type of reward. And then get this, people that have a score over maybe 2,100 Raider.io, they have another score, and they get a special reward for getting 2,100. And then maybe even after that, you could have one for 2,400. And then maybe that could give something really cool, like a mount and like a special title. And then for the tippy top, then you could do a percentage base, and it could be like, I don't know, maybe like the top 0.1%, for example. Like, I don't know where that number came from, but yeah, let's just say maybe the top 0.1%. And those people will get a special title that's exclusive just to the season that they had that really high rating. That'd be a really good idea. No, that's a great idea. What the fuck? Has Blizzard ever done that before? Fuck, man, that's great. No, they haven't. Wow. That was easy to figure out. I wonder why they didn't do that.
I mean, if that number...
Oh, come on. Come on, chat. I was obviously being facetious. Literally what I'm saying is they should just copy the PvP system over to Mythic Plus, okay? There are too many people. Was I playing that too straight-faced for you guys to see what I'm saying? Yeah, I was... Come on, guys. I literally... No shit? No, not... You can't tell me no shit, because I wasn't fucking the one saying that other dumb shit.
exists, what could Blizzard do? What sort of cool rewards could we get? I mean, I have no idea. It's obviously down to Blizzard to do that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's the obvious of, mounts, pets, all of that sort of thing. But certainly it's where, Mythic Plus is obviously a large part of the game, and I do think they could really make it a lot more rewarding in the, non-gear front.
Yeah.
To sort of make it feel like more of an activity. So
yeah, it's fucking boring. Like, what do you get out of Mythic Plus? A repair bill? Let's keep going. Thanks for the hosting.
Who knows?
Appreciate it.
There's certainly some potential.
Thank you.
Next up, then, we've got PvP gearing, which is going to be drastically different in patch 9.1 and will impact everybody. For your TLDR, they're going back to the Warlords of Draenor system.
Yep.
Now, if you're not aware of that, in the WoD expansion, PvP gear would have a higher item level in PvP. So, literally, you enter PvP combat, the eye level of your gear increases.
I hate this. I don't like it. It feels gamey, it feels slimy, it feels weird. Just add in a PvP stat. I don't like how things change dynamically in combat. I'm not a fan. I don't like it. I want a resilient stat instead. Sounds like PvP scaling? What? What? You said you wanted it back. What do you mean? Are you crazy? Listen, all I want, it's so simple. Just make it back the way it was back in Wrath and Burning Crusade. Like, Wrath and Cataclysm PvP resilience was fine. Just do that again. I don't like the changing of the item levels dynamically. I feel like it's weird. And it feels too gamey and forced and contrived. Like, I just rather would have a stat. Fucking, there it is. That's my opinion.
Now, this meant that the best possible PvP gear for doing PvP was always earned by doing PvP. And Blizzard's intent here is the same. It is that PvP players won't feel forced to go and do PvE content to get their arena gear, and that PvE players, so the Raiders and the Mythic Plusers, won't feel forced to do PvP. And
I think that there should be some overlap, but the problem is that the overlap right now is too big, and it's too one-sided. Like, Raiders have to PvP, but PvPers don't really have to raid. So, it should be one-sided. I disagree, no overlap. I really disagree with that mindset, because I feel like not having any overlaps is what creates these separate ecosystems in the game that Blizzard has to balance against each other, and it segments the population of the player base. I really don't like the idea of having things be completely their own individual bubbles. Who cares? I do, because I think it's bad for the game. Yeah, that's who cares. I care. That's good? No, I disagree. I don't think it is.
In many cases, many of them did, because some of the
it's an MMO, not a MOBA.
Bits were pretty good, and also the system was so deterministic that you could really target bits of gear pretty quick. Now, this is overall, something that happened quite a lot in Shadowlands Season 1. People sort of crossing the different types of content, and sometimes doing it begrudgingly so.
Oh yeah, people complained about it a lot.
Many, I'd say some people who maybe don't understand the system fully, have had a very negative initial reaction to this, essentially seemingly thinking they're being nerfed or being punished. I would say not really. I mean, there are pros and cons, but basically...
I mean, PvP gear is absolutely getting nerfed in PvE, and PvE gear is effectively getting nerfed in PvP because PvP gear can scale higher. Like, they are getting nerfed, and it makes it harder to go in between the two things. Now, I do think that the middle ground that Blizzard is trying to get at here is probably okay. Like, it's probably going to be just fine. Like, while I don't like the way that they're going about the system, the goal that they have, I can respect. I just don't like the implementation, that's all.
Patch 9.1, PvP gear will boost itself by 13 item levels when you're in PvP. However, it is relatively 6 item levels lower than the PvE gear of around the same level. And to just make it easy, I'll use some Season 1, item
it's
level
220
values to explain
instead
this.
of 226.
So take an eye level 226 bit of PvP gear and an item level 226 bit of Mythic raiding gear in Season 1. if this new system was active right now, then that bit of PvP gear would not be eye level 226. It would be eye level 220. But
when
when you're in PvP content, it would boost up to item level 233.
Big dick.
So a full set of item level 233 gear, along with all the verse and the trinket bonus.
And the weapon would be 240. Imagine a 240 inch. It'd be like this. It's like, honestly, I would feel like a fucking god with an item level 240 sword, man. Like, I would hit somebody with it, and I would be in a raid, and I'd think I was doing a lot of damage, and then I'd realize that the Moonkin just casted Convoke, and I'm at the bottom. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what item level I had. That literally has no bearing.
That absolutely would be best in slot for PvP.
Yep.
Now, sure, the non-PvP item level of that gear is 6 item levels lower.
Yep.
But that's not all that much lower, and much like how Blizzard want PvP gear to always be the best in PvP with this change, they similarly want PvE gear
because there was a small overlap. Sorry, I apologize if I'm pausing too much. There was a small overlap where some PvE gear was better for PvP than the PvP gear. So an example of this is Sire Denathrius, Stone Legion Generals. They drop a pair of leggings that are plate that are versatility mastery at 233 item level. I would say that's probably BIS, especially with like that big of an item level difference from 226 all the way up to 233. And so there were some examples of PvE gear being better in PvP, but they were so few and far between, they weren't that big of a deal. But I do really agree, Cloak also. Yeah, because the Cloak is haste verse. I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. So that also 233. And, I mean, obviously, like, legs have higher item value and item budget, but, like, still, both of them do matter. So, overall, I do think, and I agreed with Ian, this is an unpopular opinion that it seems like I have, but I actually was okay with being able to get to, like, 95% of your effectiveness and your power, and the last 5% you can get from being really good at the other activities. Like, there should be some overlap that really allow you to take your character to that, like, that final level. And I was okay with that, with, like, some Castle Nathria mythic gear being absolutely better than the PvP gear at the highest level. And I understand some people disagree with that. I think it's cool, and I think it's better for the game as a whole. But there's a lot of people who just don't want to have to do any other activities. And I mean, obviously, it makes sense if people feel that way.
Best in PvE. And really, this is just another way to solve a long-standing problem. Because in the past, you know, it was resilience, which was a secondary stat,
which I
obviously would form a part of the stat budget of a piece of gear.
Yes.
In the launch of Shadowlands, it was just that PvP gear had a bit more versatility and the PvP trinket bonus. So really, it's solving an age-old World of Warcraft problem. Now, that said, it's not really that...
I also want to pause again and respond to a comment that Tiger Panda made in chat. He said that that doesn't solve the problem with characters that have verse as their main stat. Like, for some classes, verse is their best stat. And fact is that, yeah, that's a problem. You know how you solve that problem? You add a PvP stat. Like, you add a PvP stat. Versatility, you know what I honestly think? I would love if versatility just became the PvP stat and it just worked against PvPers, or maybe they could make it balanced and so it would still work against like PvE to like a lesser extent, and they just added back like armor penetration or spell penetration or like multi-strike or something. Like, I want to see things that look cool on the screen that make me feel better about playing my character. Like, that's the truth. Like, versatility is a boring stat. Like, the only cool thing about verse was like back in 8.3, whenever you were able to stack to like, you know, 90% verse and not take any damage. That was cool. But like, it was only cool because you were breaking the game. That's not the way it should play. If it makes verse PvP stat, rip tank. If it makes verse PvP stat, rip tank. No, it's not rip tank. It's rebalance tank. Like, yeah, I think that they should definitely change how their mindset on this. I think versatility is an incredibly boring stat. It's a wasted stat. It has no real value. It doesn't change the way that you play. Some guy says verse is cringe. True. Verse is cringe. I just like to see a better stat. I don't know. I feel like it's It's a super boring stat. It doesn't change your gameplay. Like, crits show up on the screen. It's like, boom, I just got a crit. Mastery changes the way that your character plays. Haste makes you attack faster. It changes the way your character plays. Versatility doesn't do anything, man. It just sits there. And there's some masteries that are, I think, boring too, to be honest. Tertiary, yeah, I'd rather have Leech on my gear than fucking Verse. Leech is more interesting. Speed is more interesting.
Intuitive. It is bizarre that your gear just has different properties and different forms of content.
Yeah.
And I do think that just
100%.
doing resilience as a stat and it being a part of the the stat budget of PvP gear, I think that would be a little bit more reasonable, or easier for people to understand. But anyway, they're going with the Warlord to Draenor system. I think it's a pretty good pragmatic change, although I do wish the overall stuff was a bit more simple.
I do too.
So that's that.
I agree with that, absolutely.
Torghast changes then. So, we already knew from the data mining of Blizzard.
They need to change the tile sets in Torghast. Like, well, I mean, the layouts, the maps on Torghast, because it's the same stupid shit every time. Like, it's just, it's so boring and played out. Like, it's so, like, Blizzard took Torghast, and it was like, here, let me give an example. It's like Torghast had everything going for it, and Blizzard did nothing to make that matter. Like, Torghast should have been that thing that I do at the beginning of my stream instead of the sword run. It should have been like that hype thing that I do. And it's just... It's not a wasted feature, guys. It's just not realized. And the way that I look at this is like, I really hope Blizzard doesn't look at Torghast in the same way that they looked at Island Expeditions, where they're like, well, they don't like it. Back to the drawing board. Let's just make up another one. No, man. Fucking fix it. Make it better. Like, I don't want to have to fucking, at the end of this expansion, Torghast is done. I never go back to Torghast because Blizzard could never get it right. One of the big things that PoE, we'll go back to PoE for a minute. One of the best things that PoE has done is the fact that they have taken content from previous patches and previous leagues and expansions and integrated it into the main game to make the main game more comprehensive and more complete. That's what I really think that they should do. I will be so upset if they just get rid of Torghast without trying some crazy shit to fix it. Imagine that. True. WoW tries to reinvent the wheel every expansion. Yes, it does. They try to reinvent the wheel, and they try to turn it into a hoverboard, and then they spend all their time figuring out how to make a seatbelt for a hoverboard whenever people just wanted a wheel.
Blizzard's plans to take us to layer 12 of Torghast. But beyond that, details are actually emerging of a new scoring system. Now, the context for this is that in February, Ian was interviewed by PC Gamer, and in that, he said that the death counter would be going away, and that instead, they would give you some form of rating, a score for your Torghast run. This is something that could include the likes of, say, speed, number of deaths,
momentum,
things like that.
Violence.
Basically, the idea being that whenever you're doing stuff in Torghast, you're getting score of some form.
Yeah.
And that whenever you eventually fail and die, that would feel okay because you would get rewards that are based on your score. As opposed to the current thing where, you die, you lose everything, and you're sad. So now, we've got some data mining to back this up that, of course, is via Wowhead. So they have found score streak multipliers, they found buffs to score earned by killing elites,
we looked at this before.
They've found basically score gain buffs upon defeating enemies that can proc. So that's what.
So we went from Torghast to Borghast to Scoregast. I wonder where are we gonna go from here? Yeah, where are we gonna go from here, man? I don't know. Like, look, I understand that they want to do this Torghast scaling system, but here's the problem with the Torghast score system. Do you guys remember Proving Grounds? Do you remember Proving Grounds from like back in I think they added them in Mists of Pandaria, and then they added them in, like, they had them for like 2 or 3 expansions and they got rid of them. Proving Grounds had a scoring system and nobody used it because it wasn't fun to play. Like, it doesn't matter how good of a scoring system a game has or a feature has if it sucks. Fix the gameplay. Fix the fucking gameplay, and then everything else will be fine.
What's going on there? And they've
No
also
more
data mined
gas.
achievements
Oh, yeah.
that reference
There you
clearing
go.
layers of Torghast with, for an example, a 4+ star rating.
Yeah.
So it basically seems like you'll get a star rating for your Torghast run,
Mm-hmm.
and that the actual score itself will be able to go into some sort of big leaderboard. So it's certainly interesting. I mean, for example, if both being fast and killing mobs are part of the scoring system, then in theory, you could get a high score by being super fast and efficient with the pathing of your run,
Yep.
or you could get a high score by being a big completionist.
And I think that's actually a really good way to do things, by the way, is giving people multiple ways to win. Like, I used this example before with Dark Souls, and I think it's true with this as well, is that you want to give people the question that says, get to the number 4. And what Blizzard does is they say 2 + 2 = 4. And you have to put 2 and 2 together to get 4. But what games like Dark Souls do, that are way more open-ended, and Path of Exile, they say you can do 3 + 1, you can do 4 + 0, you can do 5 + -1, you can do 8 - 4. You can do whatever you want to get to that number 4. And the amount of ways that you give people the opportunity to get to that number 4, that's not just 2 + 2. 5, did I say 5 + 1? Man, this is the kind of... all right, I fucked up. But, like, y'all know what I mean. 5 - 1. You give people different ways to get to the same answer. And I think that good game design allows for that. Good game design allows you to play the game in different ways and to gain success in their own unique ways through that in the game. I think WoW, to a large extent, does have that, where it's like you can play Mythic Plus, you can do Arena, you can do Battlegrounds, or you can do Raiding. Like, those are the main in-game activities, and at least like the competitive in-game activities. And you have to have games that allow you to use 3 + 1 rather than just 2 + 2. And so giving players other options and other win conditions, I think, is super important.
You know,
Oh, I said 5 + -1. Yeah. Wait, yeah, that's right. I said 5 +. Man, y'all, come on, man. Like, y'all haven't done algebra. What? I was right? Jesus, I forgot what I said. Y'all are really getting to me.
leaving no stone unturned and playing very safely and conservatively and not accruing any deaths. Realistically, I do imagine it would be hard to balance that. And I'd say, in terms of my opinion, it is, you know, a little bit mixed.
It will be hard to balance.
I'm not necessarily wanting sort of a scoring system with stars.
I do.
For me, it would be more, you know, making it feel
I
like
absolutely think that Torghast needs a scoring system. I absolutely think Torghast needs leaderboards. Absolutely. But it needs that better gameplay first.
a roguelite. I mean, basically, I do think that the winged mode
Okay.
should be scrapped, and the twisting corridors should be the only thing.
Like D3. Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, they should be playing out like something a bit more traditional in the roguelite genre, you know, like a Binding of Isaac or a Dead Cells or a roguelite,
Hades.
something like that. So, I think this could be fun, and probably will feel better. That said, if it is made to feel like a time trial piece of content, then I do not think that would go down well with many people.
Yeah, I think people already have that. They have too many time trial content things in the game already, and I don't think anybody else needs any more time trial things. It's just not necessary. It's not important. Nobody wants it. That's really all there is to it. Like, maybe some people do, but for me, it's just kind of it's too much.
Dead Cells is an example of a game that does actually have timers. So you could do a gotta go fast, hyper efficient run.
Yep.
But they also do have an end of level chest reward for completionism and perfectionist gameplay that is not designed for the players who would be earning the speedrun chest at the end of a floor. So maybe Blizzard are using that as a source of inspiration. Basically, though, it is quite hard to tell because none of this
is... It's kind of like, if any of you guys remember, did any of you guys play back in Mists of Pandaria, where you had the Trove of the Thunder King? And you could go around and you'd collect all the different treasure chests and you'd get an extra key every single day. Well, there were some people that they would try to push to the end and get all the big chests at the end. And there were some people who would just stay in the very beginning room and just do laps around in the beginning room and loot all of the small chests together. So giving people those different strategies, I think, is really good. I'm a big fan of that. I don't mind time trials. Problem is the game, the game would turn into it rather than being something you only need to do a few times to unlock a mount. That's also very true. I agree with you. I just don't really think that... I think WoW just has too many time trials. Like, they have too many artificial difficulty boosters. Like, okay, it's the same exact thing, but now it has more numbers. Or it's the same exact thing, but you have to do it faster. I think people want to see new shit. Like unique challenges that are at a high level or a mid level that you can say, I beat this. Things like the Mage Tower. I think a contemporary example is the Mage Tower.
Game right now, and Blizzard have actually blocked Torghast on the PTR, so it's very clear that whatever's going on, they're not ready to do a full reveal just yet.
I'm super excited for this.
I will say for this, though, Anima and Stygia should come from Twisting Corridors runs, as should Soul Ash. I mean, just give Soul Ash a weekly cap. I would then say, put Soul Ash on a weekly cap, and then just add it as a reward for most endgame content in World of Warcraft, basically. So a raider could get their Legos by raiding, you know, if a casual player is, you know, maybe...
Blizzard's not going to do that, because they're not confident in Torghast. They have to have Soul Ash and Torghast, because if they don't, nobody will do it. That's the truth. And this is the thing, right, is they want to pad... like, nobody would do Torghast if there wasn't Soul Ash in Torghast. So they're like, wow, people love Torghast. Look at all the people playing it. If you just give an alternate reward source, like, not even take it out, but you just add Soul Ash to something else instead, you would see Torghast participation drop probably by like 50%. Probably more. 80% based off of what it is. I'd never do it again. Yeah, a lot more. Add transmogs to Torghast? I'd love that.
Doing some callings or wants to head into Torghast, they can get Soul Ash that way. And I think that would free up Torghast to be Torghast.
Yeah.
You know, not Chorghast, because people are just there for the Soul Ash.
Or Borghast. I
then think the Torghast should drop usable gear, like the horrific visions of patch 8.3
Storghast.
and then it should have loads more cosmetics than are there right now.
Good one, dude.
And then, yeah, getting Stygia and Anima. So, that's my thoughts on Torghast. We'll have to see. And next up, Flight, where we've got some bloody brilliant news. It's actually a last-minute surprise.
Wow.
So initially, we thought Flight would be at the end of the Covenant campaign. That's renown level 59, and that would have meant like the 31st of August to up to maybe mid-September for when we'd be getting Flying in Shadowlands, which wouldn't have been great. But the good news is, Blizzard have changed their plans, actually. So the thought initially, I think they actually literally said that Flight would be the end of the new Covenant campaign. Now they have confirmed that it's going to be, I believe, week 2. That was a tweet from Muffinus, and
I'm surprised it's not week 5. That way they can get 2 months of a sub out of you for patch 9.1. But hey, I probably shouldn't have said that because now it will be. I just gave him the idea. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I would love to see Flying in the game. I think Flying is great. I know this might be unpopular, but I like the way that Blizzard does Flying now, where at the beginning of the expansion, you don't have it, and then it unlocks later on. Now, I think Pathfinder is played out. It's boring. Like, we do need something new, and finishing the Covenant campaign is completely fine with me. Like, it makes sense from a lore perspective, I think, to a certain degree with Flying, whereas like Pathfinder really doesn't make as much sense. So yeah, I'm okay with this. This is completely fine. The thing is, we can't, you guys gotta remember, like, Blizzard doesn't do everything wrong. Like, there are some times where they...
What?
There are some times where they get it right. You know how they have like the PvP vendors? That was a good thing, right? It's nice. You know, little PvP vendors is, you know, right there, you know, it's pretty good. I'd say that's good. I would definitely say that's good. That was a minor good thing. That PvP vendors were a huge good thing. What do you mean?
It's basically that. You're going to get flying like 2 weeks into
Blizzard's
this patch.
me?
So
Yeah.
if this patch comes out, say, well, I guess, well, oh dear, let's not talk about that. But maybe if it is like an early July or something, then it won't be too long.
Oh, come on. An early July? An early July, Bellular? What the fuck are you talking about, an early July? I'm thinking about an early September. A late November. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know what this is going to be. 2022.
Until
After Ashes of Creation.
you get Flight. You see, if Flight was going to come out at the end of the Covenant campaign, then we would have actually been waiting longer for Flight in Shadowlands, even though Flight was coming with the 0.1 patch, not the 0.2 patch. I guess Blizzard just realized that
Legion had way better patch
9.1
cycle.
is going to take longer than they would have hoped, and clearly they do not want, you know, the knock-on effect that would have in Flying. Overall, really good stuff, and a great note to end our last news story on.
State of the PTR.
And then finally, to cap us off, just PTR, the state of things. So really, we've covered just about everything so far, other than diving into big lore spoilers. Now, I should mention that, one thing, the data mined weapons from the new raid and dungeon, they look really cool.
We need to look at those.
And the early peaks of the dungeon we've seen via, you know, data miners and people sharing questionable screenshots. They both look incredible.
What do you mean questionable, man? He trying to call me out saying I'm a cheater. Yeah, he trying to say I'm a cheater. What the fuck, dude? When the fuck is Flying? It's gonna be whenever the patch comes out. It's like 2 weeks after the patch comes out, which is in like probably 6 months or 5 months from now.
So, as it stands, we really need to see how the likes of, say, the Death's Advance reputation work. We need to see how the data mined mod touch gear works. A lot of things like that. We just don't really know with high enough confidence yet. I mean, we can't do the dungeon right now, and we really do need more guidance from Blizzard over their design intent for Korthia. By this stage, you will have seen my video on Korthia and the Maw, and I think most people would agree that it's fairly unambitious.
Do you think Sylvanas is gonna have sex with Anduin? What do you guys think? What do you think, McConnell? No. I think they might be building up to it.
We're just gonna go in and Chains of Domination. Oh wait.
Chains of Domination?
They might, actually. Now that I think about it, with Anduin being how he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be. I could see Sylvanas using some chains. Yeah.
I'm excited to see what this raid's gonna have in it, man. Could be a good raid.
Just seeming, maybe a little bit flat, you could say, other than the Dreadlord storyline being pretty neat.
Yeah.
So I just don't really know what their full intent is right now. I'd like to see more. You know, they released patch notes along with PTR, and it basically was just like Korthia, you know, a bullet point for the quests, and like that was it. There was no, you know, paragraph explaining what like their intended gameplay experience for the area was. So it's really hard to know. And then obviously we don't know what the full picture is for Torghast, and raid testing I believe is kicking off like super soon. The other thing then is there will be Covenant campaign lore to follow over the coming weeks as that stuff unlocks in PTR, and really that is about it.
Great.
I mean, for me personally,
amazing.
I know I'm in for this patch because there's a mega dungeon and there's a raid, and now I'm in a really great guild full of cool people, and I really want to play the game with them.
That's
so
crazy.
I'm definitely going to.
Dude, like I never play with like anybody in WoW really, besides like maybe 6 people. Like that's about it. Like I'm like a solo player. Do you think TBC will be out before 9.1? That is actually such a good question. Let me finish the video and then we'll talk about it.
Be happy. Just a bunch of other things we kind of need to wait and see. You know, if they can fix up Torghast and make that really good, then that would make me super happy as well. And the patch would be a big thumbs up for me, even though the world content's a little bit flat.
Yeah.
But we will just have to wait and see. That's the nature of a PTR. So, there you go. That is it for the World of Warcraft news for today. If you'd like to support the show and also do some fun region hopping on your content platforms like Netflix, then you can check out NordVPN via the link below. Thanks then for sponsoring. And of course, thank you to you for watching. I'll see you next time.
It's a good video. I think so. I mean, pretty much win against everything. Like it's on TTS? Not yet. Not yet, no. So many Patreons, damn? Well, I would hope so. Bellular puts out good videos, man. Every world quest completed in under an hour for Asmongold.
We're too much to bear.
Apparently this was supposed to be a difficult challenge. Thanks for the $1,000.
There's literally no way I can get out of this. I mean, let's be honest, there's no way I can get out of this. Fuck!
How much do you have to pay?
$1,000.
How are you gonna come up with $1,000?
I don't know. I'll have to.
How are you gonna come up with $1,000 fucking dollars?
I'll do a Raid Shadow Legends stream. Like it's fine. I'll come up with it somehow. It'll be okay. I will never financially recover from this. Fuck, man.